Hello, my name is Amy, and I have a story to tell about substance abuse, being a teen mother, an alcoholic, self harm, and all of those kind of difficult subjects to discuss about. But yeah, and this is pretty much my story about how I came out of all of that.
Difficult, but important. Thank you for being open about all these subjects, I guess, and thank you for joining the podcast. It's surprising how many people are open about talking about all of these things. So yeah, I guess we can do first things first. Maybe just go back to when you were young, and yeah, start from there. I guess. I think so.
Okay, I guess everything really took a turn for the worst, I should say, about when I was 12 years old. And I had a friend who suggested to me, hey, let's go to my dad's garage. Let's go get a beer and a few cigarettes. And I had never done anything like that before, but I decided to say, okay, let's do that. And we halved a beer. And I think just being so young and not really knowing you could feel different in any way was kind of eye-opening, and that's really where things probably started going a little bit downhill.
That was a good experience for you.
At the time, yes. Looking back, if I had a time machine, I probably wouldn't have done that.
I'm surprised because I think most of us did beer and cigarettes when we were young. But I remember my first cigarette. I don't smoke, by the way, but I've had cigarettes when I was a teenager. I think everyone does. For me, it was horrible. Like it was the most disgusting thing. And I think when I was young, it took me at least 5 years to be able to drink beer without like almost gagging because it's bitter.
Right.
So straight away you enjoyed it.
Yes, and probably more so the cigarettes. I really didn't dabble with alcohol again until maybe about junior high, and then things got pretty rough there because I remember my other friend. Uh, Peer pressure is a common common thing here, but my other friend said, "Hey, let's put some vodka in our water bottles and just go to school." And that's what we did. And that's
Wow.
not to say this is something I was always doing. This might have been isolated to two incidents, but yeah, I was in school, and it's kind of crazy to me because I was in AP classes, IB classes, pre college courses in junior high and high school. And at this point, was able to still somehow manage all of that while experimenting, which is kind of crazy.
Mhm. So at this point, what age are you when you start? You're basically taking liquor to high school, right?
Yes, I was 14 and 15 at that age.
Wow, that really is. Wow, I don't think it rarely happens younger than that, doesn't it? That's kind of
Yeah. And yeah, so it was all of that. And then I got a little bit older, wasn't really drinking or anything. And then I hit 18. And one of my boyfriends at the time, who I had been going out with him for like 3 years at this point, he said, um, let's go to this place called the Pits, and we'll go ahead and try this marijuana that's legal. And I'm thinking, okay, legal, drugs are bad, but let's just go ahead and, it's legal.
Was it legal?
Well, it was not, it was not legal, and it was that synthetic marijuana, K2.
Synthetic? I've never
Yes.
heard of that. So
It was a really big thing here in the United States, and super bad, nothing like regular marijuana. I mean,
it's the
you
first thing I ever
basically,
heard of it, but is it more
yeah,
harmful or?
way more harmful. Some people, when they take it, they can't really speak. They don't know who they are, where they are. And so, straight out of high school, that's pretty much what I was doing for about 6 months or so.
Mhm.
And that got pretty bad, but nobody really ever I mean, I didn't seem like I was doing anything, but I was also very good at hiding everything I was doing.
But between the time that you were 14 and 18, because we made a small jump in time here, I was wondering, in that time, were you ever using any substances, or were you just
No,
so
that time I
so
was
so
just a good
there
student.
was a short moment that you were basically not bothered, not using them.
No, no. And then when I was 14, that was just the alcohol and the cigarettes. It was never drugs at that point, but 18, that's when that all started.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that was kind of crazy. And I guess I made this other jump to a party one time, and some people were um, handing off little baggies that were like with some white substance in there. And I was thinking, well, what is that? I do this. I might as well try that. And it was cocaine. So,
Ooh.
yeah, and which is horrible. But I promise everyone the story eventually gets better. But I was doing that for probably 5 or 6 years.
So someone shared it with you, and from that moment you just regularly decided to.
Yeah, and it was really strange too because I never ever paid for anything. So, I mean, I got all of this stuff for free. How
Really?
could this really be bad? In my mind at the time, I guess I was thinking,
It's a very expensive substance, isn't it? Like actual cocaine is.
Super expensive. And I don't know. I mean, none of us had jobs. I have no idea.
Hmm. Maybe
But
some maybe someone liked to see you be that way. I don't know what they
yeah,
would gain from that, but
yeah, it was
somebody
pretty
was
bad.
spending a lot on you, I think.
Yeah, well, I think it was just the group of friends I was in too. I mean, I don't know if anyone was selling or how they got a hold of the substances. I never went and actively like looked for it. If it was there, I would do it.
Mhm.
And that was kind of crazy. But yeah, so 18, I decided it was closer to the end of the summer, and I decided, you know what? I don't really want to be with this person who introduced me to something that's so terrible.
That made
Because
sense.
another friend of mine, he gave me actual like real marijuana, and I was like, this is not nearly as bad as what I've been doing. So at that point, I switched to that. And I broke up with that person I was with for 3 years.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I met another person and really liked him, had a good time. Uh-oh, 4 months later, I'm pregnant. And keep in mind, this was during, I guess I would have just been on marijuana for the most part at that time.
Okay, so I think we shouldn't gloss over that because that's it's kind of interesting in a way. Because
Hmm.
how do you go from meeting? I mean, at least I'm assuming that it was an accident, but still.
It was. I guess I was really, and I've always suffered from depression and anxiety and all of these fun things. But I guess meeting someone who was looking at me, not just as a partner to do these things with, but someone that would, that actually cared for the person I was, that felt really good. So I thought I should be with this person. And of course, not being safe or anything like that for 4 months later.
How come you didn't choose to, well, use precautions?
I guess at that point in time, since I wasn't really doing anything actively for my depression and anxiety, I just kind of was in this mindset like whatever happens, happens, and I don't really care. And that's just where I was at that time.
Hmm, that's an interesting phenomenon that I've. It's almost like a form of kind of self harm, right? Like
Yes.
you're just passively letting bad things happen to you because
Yeah.
you kind of want it at some level.
I think I did. I guess I was looking for what could fix me.
Mhm.
And I thought, and that's a terrible thing to bring such a small person into the world thinking that this is what's going to fix me. And that's also what I thought at that time, but
It's
that wasn't the
I don't
case.
think it's I don't think that's super uncommon actually. I'll tell you, this is maybe a bit off topic, but it's also not. Um,
Mhm.
I have a female friend, a woman. People hate it if I say female for some reason, but yeah, I don't know why. She's now in her 30s, but she also got pregnant in her teenage years. So it's similar to you. And without going into too much details, just to give the summary, is she also suffered a childhood of abuse, was
Yeah.
often rejected by neglectful parents who, as a child, didn't give her affection or even threw her on the street. And
Yeah.
when she got pregnant, she actually wanted to keep it. She wanted to keep the baby at that time. And she told me that in hindsight, it doesn't sound like it makes sense, but at the time, she also thought it would fix her because she had nothing, right? And she thought like having a baby
Yeah.
for the first time, it's something for myself, right? It's something that's mine, that gives me individuality. So
Hmm.
I see parallels between your story and I guess some other people's stories that I've heard. But
Yeah.
proceed. Maybe I'm going off topic, but I
No,
recognize.
that does make sense. The really strange thing is I didn't really, I mean, my parents are divorced. That was kind of traumatic. That happened when I was 7 or 8.
Mhm.
They both got remarried, but other than that small snippet, I had a really good childhood. I mean, we were well off, could go to the store, buy anything I wanted, ask for
Mhm.
anything I wanted. In fact, we didn't really do the whole Santa thing because it was more like, okay, let's go shopping for Christmas. And then we just would wrap our stuff, put it under the tree, and then pretend for the pictures or whatever. But I don't really know why I chose to do what I did. Because I had
Well,
everything.
I don't think that I don't think you have to come up with an answer, to be honest.
Right?
I mean,
Well,
it's easy to think about it in hindsight, but
oh yeah.
I think that we often do things without there. I mean, maybe there was an answer, maybe there was a motivation, but it's not like not something
That you
that's
can pinpoint down to
yeah,
one single thing, really.
yeah,
But
maybe something deeper, something unutterable. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't have even the right words to describe it.
So moving on, I was gonna have my baby. I had her at when I was 19, so
Mhm.
still pretty young with a 1 year old. And we went through just, I mean, we were doing okay. And then I went to the doctor and I said, I think I have anxiety and depression. And he agreed. He said, yes, you do. And he decided to give me medication, Xanax and Wellbutrin. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is medicine from a doctor. This is gonna fix me. I'm gonna be all right.
These are the
Uh,
famous opioids that are very prevalent in America, right? I mean,
these are benzodiazepines, but they turn you into a zombie, and it's just awful that they are so willing to just hand this out
mhm.
to people. And I took that, and I just remember falling in love with it, thinking this feeling is what I've been missing.
In a way, you
And
have, the feeling you
yeah,
were missing, but not the way to obtain it, I guess.
no. And so I went on a pretty big bender with that for probably 6 or 7 years. So
Mhm.
doing, which is what a lot of people die from, the Xanax and cocaine mixture. I mean, I do one to come down, one to go up, and then I was just always in this balancing act of keeping my body alive at that point.
Wow.
Yeah. And So that was pretty bad. And then we almost lost my daughter. Um, we have a agency called CPS, and they'll come in, and if you're not being a decent parent, they'll kind of, remedy that by
Yeah, Child Protective Services, right?
right. And so that happened, and I remember they were drug testing us all the time. They would cut my hair out and like big chunks, probably quarter-sized chunks of my hair, and drug test. They never found anything in it though, which was bizarre.
No, I think they can only find certain substances, right? Not everything is retained in your hair.
Right,
Interestingly, THC is one that stays in your hair for a while, like for
right.
up to several months. But
But also at that time, that was like a year-long process. So
mhm,
I hadn't done anything within that year because I wanted so bad to have my family together.
mhm. So for a year, you were off substances.
Yes.
This I also find kind of curious because it shows. Does it count as an addiction if you're able to quit?
Yes, I would say so because
I'm a little bit ignorant. I'm
it's
a little bit ignorant on the topic of addiction, by the way.
oh yeah.
Um,
No, it's pretty much a lifelong struggle, especially because not so much I don't touch like cocaine or anything like that these days. I don't do anything these days. But the struggle is still there. Like I still have nightmares reoccurring where I am taking these substances, and it's like PTSD. It just puts me right back into my mindset of how I
oh
was
yeah.
when all of that was happening.
Yeah, oh yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that when you are diagnosed, they call it now substance use disorder. It's pretty much
Oh,
a chronic disorder, right? Like even if you don't
yeah.
if you don't use substances, the craving may persist for the rest of your life. And if you take the
Yes.
substance again, you'll just complete. There's a chance you'll completely relapse, right? So it's
Right.
yeah.
So that happened, and then a couple of, I guess, a year down the road, I woke up in the hospital, and I was kind of confused.
You
Um,
woke up in the hospital?
yes, I don't really remember, but somehow I did get a hold of those Xanax again and blacked out. Ended up cutting both of my wrists,
Oh my god.
and yeah, tried to kill myself, I guess, and I was just in the hospital.
Okay, hold on, because I think there are several things here that I would kind of like to
Hmm.
dissect. Maybe it's personal, but first of all, before this happened, right? Because
Hmm.
this sounds like a suicide attempt, right?
Right.
Were you were you ever considering doing something like this before this happened, or was it just completely spontaneous?
Not really. And the way the doctors kind of explained it to me was people have on Xanax, they can have just straight blackouts and whatever mood they're in because it can make you so depressive or so
Yes.
angry.
That's why I asked, because I was wondering, is it was it like a genuine underlying desire, or was it more like a drug induced psychosis?
It
So
was definitely drug induced. And even at this point in time, my parents had no idea what I was doing, no idea I was on drugs or anything like that. Even while I'm going through this CPS case, like I
that's
hid everything so well.
that's tragic though. How you were your parents? I mean, how are you?
Yeah.
Were they uninvolved in you, or
Uh, well, I mean, they called often. They went to see Ansley,
I mean,
all of
at
this
this point
stuff.
in time, what was your age?
At this point in time, I think I'm 25 or 26.
Oh, okay, then it makes a little bit more sense that you were able to hide it from your parents, because it depends on your
Mm.
age, I guess. You know, if you were maybe you were like 19, I would say if your parents if they missed that somehow,
They missed it then
I would,
too.
you know, I am not here to judge or in a position to judge everyone, but like the younger you are,
Right.
the younger you are, the more your parents should be, you know, uh, at least to some extent accountable for the things that you do. But when you're 25 and you hide it from your parents,
Right.
you can't really blame them anymore, you know. So
Oh no,
that's how age makes a difference here. But yeah, that's what I
right.
was curious about. But
So
proceed.
we so I woke up in the hospital, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, something has to change. Something is really not going right in my life. So I remember going to my first real job, and I had two casts on my arms, and I was ready to start work. And they hired me, and I was there for about a year, and not using any substances, the occasional
What kind of job
drinking,
was it?
daycare.
Daycare.
Yeah. And that situation, and it was a Christian based daycare, so that kind of really helped me
Mhm.
decide, like, okay, you know what, maybe I am capable of getting my life back on track. And I remember even with a job and my significant other having a job, we still were just so unbearably poor at this time. I'm talking like I used to have to boil water for my daughter's bath so she could have a hot bath
Oh my
because we
god.
couldn't afford to turn the gas on. And that was only like $400 at the time. We were
Yes.
just, and we lost our vehicle during that time period. So now I had to figure out, how am I going to keep this job and all of this stuff, pay for everything. I
Did
don't
they
even have a vehicle to,
did they pay you like a living wage or?
oh God, no. I think I made probably like $11 an hour.
Mhm.
And then my significant other would go and just do construction jobs and get whatever money he could. And I mean, our lights were flickering on and off because bills weren't paid. It was just really kind of desperate during that time. But somehow we still both managed to not um, do any drugs at that point.
Mhm. So what do you think? Because I'm actually to me the poverty thing, some level is also interesting because at least some of the people I interviewed so far from the
Hmm.
USA, they all have like similar stories, and I'm
Yeah.
wondering what are the socioeconomic factors? Like, how is it possible if two people have a job that they have to live in poverty? But like,
Yeah.
at least where I'm from, the Netherlands, like poverty exists here too, maybe in a different way. But if you have a household of two people like working a job, you know, having it having to boil water, that's unthinkable. You know, not
Yeah.
to brag or say that my country
Oh
is
no, of
better than
course not.
yours. You know.
Of course not. No, I think it's really common. Our living costs in America are so unbelievably high. Our medical costs are unbelievably
Oh, of
high.
course, yeah. It's
So, some places you can get a house for, I don't know, you can pay $500 a month, but specifically where I am and with no way to get away from this town, um, you have to pay like 1,500, and that's just, and you're not paying to buy the house at that point.
And I'm guessing did you have the healthcare insurance or did you have to pay for your treatment?
Um, no, I had nothing. That was just a bill tacked on. And there's another bill that I'm thinking, how am I gonna pay for that? But
It's so strange to me, you know. The bigger issue is, I don't know, there seems to be a lot of economic damage just from suppressing the income of a large percentage of society. I think like if the USA just increased the income of the poorest people, you'd have at least I don't know, standard of living growth, at least that you had in the progressive policies of like the 30s and the 80s. But
Right.
it seems like the USA, like this is already the third episode that I'm criticizing America, by the way. But it seems like you guys don't really have an interest in reducing poverty. And when I say you guys, I don't mean you as a
Right. No,
person.
that's the great American dream. Get over here and
Yeah,
collect as much money as you can from
because
all of the
I feel
people.
like this is the point where it should like have a maybe this is a bit childish to say, but it should have a happy ending from this point, right? Like you have a job, you found someone, you're working, you're clean.
Right. Yeah.
You shouldn't be stuck at that point. Makes no sense, you know?
Well, right. So at this point, I'm not doing any illicit drugs. However, now I'm an alcoholic.
Oh, now you're an alcoholic.
Now I'm an alcoholic. I
No,
decided.
now you're an alcoholic. So,
Oh, wait, no, not currently. At this point
no.
in the.
At this point in the story, at this point in the story.
Yeah. So yeah, I went through that and that was pretty bad. I ended up losing that job at the daycare.
So,
Um,
so like when you say now you're an alcoholic, like, how did you go back to that? What introduced you to it?
well, I guess just being so desperately poor and wanting to escape, I would just buy, they were like $10 jugs of wine. And I just went too heavy on that for a little bit.
Oh my God, that's kind of relatable. You know, I actually kind of rarely drink, but when I do, it's usually after I had like a fucked up night shift or something. So I can relate, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of
And
forces you to drink, you know,
a
sometimes.
little bit. Yeah. So
Mhm.
that happened. And then my significant other eventually got a really good paying job. And so step by step, we were climbing out of that hole. And CPS was no longer involved in our situation. Um, and we were able to
And
have some more money,
but and
but we,
but when CPS got involved, never at any point did it get so far that they were trying to, I guess, remove your child, or
they did remove
you
her for a time to live with my mom.
okay,
And
but
then,
you regained the custody, or
yes,
Hmm.
yes. And then never went down that path again. But
did you agree or disagree with their decision to, at least, I guess, take custody away from you?
well, at the time,
that may be a difficult question to ask, but
yeah, no, at the time I was furious. Obviously, I'm thinking I'm not such a bad mother that she needs to be taken away. But when in reality, I mean, you can't have a child in those circumstances. And so once I was able to get better from the drugs, it was, I mean, it felt good that somebody wanted to step in and help. And they were really helpful, to be honest, all of
hmm,
the people at CPS.
that's good to hear.
Yeah.
It is.
And let's see, then what happened?
So you get so many people who have just bad experiences with the system, you know. It's nice.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice to hear people say, "Well, I actually benefited from this program. I benefited from this service." You know, that's refreshing, I guess.
Well, it was bizarre because they, every single person within that organization would look at me and my significant other and say, "We don't understand why y'all are here. I mean, y'all both look like two normal, clean cut people. What happened?" And again, we were just so good at hiding everything, like high functioning,
Mhm.
even through all of that.
That's
But so he got a really good job. We climbed out of that hole a little bit, and then I decided to actually start streaming myself.
streaming
And
yourself.
yes, I was on Twitch and everything.
No
And that
way.
was, yeah, I would do video games and stuff, and that was fun.
Were you good at it?
Yeah.
Really?
I love video games. I played all the time.
Did you get subscribers and stuff?
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I had a
Wow.
really good following of people, and they know the majority of this story because, I
Hmm.
mean,
Didn't know I
but
was interviewing a gamer girl.
yeah. Well, I don't stream anymore, and that's part of the story too because um I was just on there to get drunk and play video games. And then I'm in
Oh,
front of so many live people and they're paying me, so I'm thinking, you know what? This is a good thing that I'm doing. But it was so detrimental to my health that I had to stop. I had to quit.
I mean, you could play video games without getting drunk, right?
Yes. But I had to go through this was probably back a year ago that I quit. I had to like get myself right and I
Yeah.
lost like
So
20 pounds.
you don't want to present yourself in a bad state. Was it something like that?
No, yeah, I was tired of that. It got so bad on New Year's Eve. We had stairs at the time, and on live stream, I drank so much that I was like sliding down the stairs
Oh my God.
in front of all of these people. And yeah, it was like 2 or 3 hours of the camera just watching me sleep on the stairs.
Oh my God.
It was, it was pretty bad. And I think a couple of months after that, I thought, you know what? I'm going to clean up and really be able to do something for these people because they really, I got a lot of positive comments about like sharing my story
How
to
many
them.
subscribers did you have?
300.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that's a lot on Twitch, but
Yeah, that's pretty good. I probably could have done better if I was sober at the time of
I don't
doing it.
know. So some viewers just like to see people drunk, but
Yeah, that's true. And I used to sing too, and they would like they're called bits, and they would give
oh
so
my
many
gosh.
bits to hear me sing a song all drunk. It was really, really bad.
This
But
this part triggers me a little because someone who also makes a living, I guess, on social media. It's a
yeah,
little bit relatable, but I imagine live streaming is much more tedious than I don't know YouTube because you have to make like this online relationship with people and blah. Maybe it's a bit off topic, but it's interesting. So
yeah. Well, I'm actually really shy in person, but because I couldn't ever see their faces, it was like I'm just talking to chatbots, and that's kind of how I like
yeah,
mentally went through that. But
you're the creator god, and they're like the subscriber cattle, something.
there were so many sweet people, but I also got to a point where I was thinking, you know what? Maybe some of these are kids and they don't need to see someone like
Yeah,
that.
you should be
So
careful with that because I think if you drink on stream, I think you can get banned for that.
you can, unless you turn on adult
Yeah.
content or something, which I always had on.
I had to interrupt, but we have to make a new Zoom call. We're using the free
Okay,
version of Zoom. So I'm pressing end, and in about 3 minutes, we can rejoin. Okay.
okay.
Testing, testing. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Ah, we're back. We're back. Ladies and gentlemen, to anyone listening, we are using the free version of Zoom. So every 40 minutes, we're kind of forced to have a little interruption. Hope it doesn't bother you. Anyway, let's get back to our influencer here that we are interviewing today. So we were at
Well,
Twitch.
yes. Okay, let's see. So this is where the story starts getting really good because I actually while I was doing Twitch at the time I had a hotel job and I was a front desk manager and gathering up all of the money that I could. It was commission based, so I was making a lot of money at this point, which was really good for my daughter, obviously.
Mhm.
And from that job, I got offered, and I can't say which company, but I got offered to be the administrative assistant for the main boss of this company. And I didn't realize how large this company is. They have 8 hotels, two malls, 500 different properties, and I was kind of assisting him with all of that. And the marketing department one day saw me just drawing because there was a lot of downtime. And I told them about me streaming and everything, and they said, "Oh, do you want to try out graphic design?" And me, without any college experience or anything, I mean, that sounded like a godsend to me. So I said, "Yes, of course I do." And at this point, I'm still, heavy into drinking alcohol and everything, but somehow managing. Um, and yeah, that's where I'm at now. And we saved up enough money we bought like a $250,000 home. We have two vehicles. We're living in small suburbia with a park across the street. It's just, I don't understand how I got here with where I started, but I guess the motivation for my daughter was really the biggest thing for me.
Oh, that's a interesting acceleration, I guess, from that point.
And that was all within a three-year time span.
Mhm.
So, but it's just crazy to me, because during that time I got arrested. Um, I was 26 and I got arrested, and that's just what the community knew of who I was as a person.
Yeah, I mean, does that go on your record? I think.
Well, no, everything got dropped actually, because that was during the time period when I was dealing with the CPS thing,
Mhm.
and they couldn't prove that I was on any substance because it wasn't in my hair, and that's all they really checked. So everything got dismissed. It even got taken off of the news reports, which is crazy.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the what I always also find strange is you kind of have a justice system that usually it prevents people from like finding future opportunities for employment, for example. So if you
Yeah, and
get caught
that's
on that, you're even deeper in the hole. You know what I mean? It's kind of
yeah,
counterproductive.
really. And I think if I could really put a pin on the one thing that probably would have helped me significantly is if we had free healthcare and I was able to go to doctors that actually cared
Mhm.
about fixing the root of the problem than just putting a band-aid on it. And
It's
so
just
now,
it does sound like in your case, at least from what I can hear about like your younger years,
mhm,
you know, I would say a lot of things were out of your control. You know, it's can we really like hold teenagers and children accountable for their actions if they do things like that? I don't think we can. Right? They're
yeah,
they're they're minors. Like there's supposed to be safeguards in place, you know. And I
yeah, and
I
a
know,
child.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, a child having a child too, and I mean, I fully believe your mind is not developed until you're 25. I mean,
I
I
agree.
had no idea about the world, what things cost, and it was really hard.
Yeah. I mean, you know, someone
Yeah, been
should
able to
have
help.
shown you the way, I guess, in a
Yeah,
perfect world. So,
yeah. But I really the thing that also changed to help me quit drinking is I found just the right kind of medication for what works for my body.
mhm.
And it was like night and day, really. I mean, I went from just constant, like fluctuating moods and everything. I don't have bipolar disorder, but the anxiety would cause that with me.
Mhm.
And yeah, being on the correct medication, I just feel so capable, and it feels really good to now be known within the community as this graphic design artist who I did so many logos within the town. I have 30-foot murals of my designs. Like that just feels really good to not be known as the person who I was
Did they
and to be
did
given a second chance,
so
really.
so did they help educate you in graphic design or?
Oh, I had to I would just do small things in like Canva and stuff and kind of put things together, but I actually took courses by myself
Mhm.
to really learn all of the Adobe products so that I can do the job that I do. And commercials, everything, radio.
So here's another question, because you've told me a lot about the course of your life and the things you went through, but did you, like, from a young age, have any particular dreams or ambitions, I wonder?
I thought I was going to be a musician because I actually play the piano and the harp, and I
You still
got,
do?
yes, I can't afford a harp, but yeah, I have a piano that I still play.
Okay,
But
at a young age, like, you already wanted to do those things?
oh yeah, I've been playing since I was 12, and I had a scholarship to go to a really good college in town, fully paid, and all I had to do is play the harp, but I just wasn't, with all the drugs, I just couldn't think that I was capable of actually doing it.
That's what I was curious about, because I guess if I had to use one word to describe at least your younger years, it kind of sounds directionless, if you know what I mean.
It really was. It felt like that too.
Yeah.
Um, and I knew I wanted to, and I think that also didn't help when I was experimenting with drugs and all of these things, because I just had no idea of who I was as a person or what I could possibly do in this world. I knew I wanted to do something big,
Mhm.
but I just
Do you still want
had
to do
no
something
ability.
big?
Yes. I'm
Tell
I'm
me.
truly hoping in the future to get my own different projects together, but I mean, we'll see. I'm only I think really a full year sober from alcohol, which feels really great. And then I think I am 4 years sober from any illicit drugs,
Mhm.
which also feels great.
So what is your age right now?
I am 29.
Okay, we're the same age.
Oh, also 29.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
getting
you
older.
probably lived a vastly different trajectory of life than me.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, but it's really good though to be on the upside
Mhm.
because previously I couldn't dream of being in front of a camera on a podcast, anything, because I was just so deeply anxious and shy. But I don't know, it just everything, it's like a
Was it
weight's been
social
lifted off.
anxiety, or?
Yes, I have relatively severe social anxiety, which they put me on this medication that it it's not like Xanax. It doesn't just knock me out, but it just kind of settles me to where I can say, you know what, this isn't so bad.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't judge from the surface, but from the surface level, you seem very bubbly. You know,
Yeah,
very,
and I
very,
feel
very Twitch streamer.
yeah, and I feel so much like the person I was when I was 17. And it's rediscovering who I am again in that respect has just been
Yeah.
phenomenal because I felt so lost for so long.
Yeah, I mean, discovering yourself, I guess it gets taken away from you, right? In a way.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's fantastic and I feel capable of painting again, all of these different hobbies to keep me
Mhm.
active. And I always joke I have to stay busy doing something or else I will fall back. So I'm just doing so many different projects now.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Well, I'm taking all of it in. It is an interesting story. Yeah, I do think that from many people who are in that background, a lot of them wouldn't be able to break out of it, I guess.
No, and there were facilities we could have gone into, me and my significant other, and they wanted $17,000 and healthcare wasn't going to cover it. And if you're already so poor, how can you ever possibly expect to have people get better
Mhm.
when they can't? I mean, there was no way, there were no payment plans. And I think that's another serious talk we as Americans need to have, because it could just help so many more people if they could actually get the services that they need.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I agree with that. And I think also, you know, it takes money to dream, That's the unfair
Yeah.
part. People say, well, just follow your dreams, follow your ambitions, but many people just have to sacrifice those, or stash them away. Guess
Yeah. And it kills a part of you because for a long time I mean I've always enjoyed video games and everything and I just didn't have a way to afford that. So what else was I going to do? Well, I did drugs. So that's kind of
no, you hear it,
that
parents.
sounds terrible.
You hear it, parents. Maybe video games aren't that bad, but
Yeah.
I'm also wondering how did you manage to, I guess, raise a person while you had to work
Yeah.
so much? That's difficult.
It was, but by the time she was in school age, that was taken care of. And even when I was experimenting with all of these drugs, it's not like she was in the house with us
Mhm.
during those time periods. So I was at being somewhat responsible. I mean, I was still doing the bad thing, but at least not around my kid, which was always important.
And so now I'm going to try and formulate another question, which is I have to tread lightly. It's more of an existential question in some way, but I know you cannot pin everything in life down to one or two things.
Right.
But I do feel like in your case, in your story, there is some kind of, I wouldn't call it a singular origin, but there's, if you had to blame one thing in particular,
Right.
where do you think that comes from? Like, I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying that everyone who experiences these things has to be blamed for something, or find a scapegoat or say that you deserve it.
Right.
But hopefully you catch my drift a little bit.
Yeah, no, I really think it was not finding the correct chemicals that allow me to be a normal person, I guess. I say normal, but but
So you think that from when you were young, from a young age, you would not have been able to function like it was kind of inherently? Was it the way that you think
yeah.
it's the way that you were born, or is it?
I think it was induced because of the divorce and everything. I mean, that put me in a position where it's like, well, families are supposed to look like this.
Mhm.
Mine doesn't look like that. And I think I pulled into myself at that point, and
And it changes your development, maybe.
it really did because I remember sitting in the car with my dad sometimes and just crying and staring out the window, and he would talk to me, but I would never like respond to him. And that was from like 16 to 18.
Mhm.
So something was already kind of happening then with me. And I tried to medicate it, but that ended up not helping because they gave me the Xanax at that time. And I thought, okay, this feeling that I enjoy this, I'm doing something good,
I'm
but
thinking
I
it's
wasn't.
also often not talked about how a traumatic divorce can be for children, even if it's
Yeah,
even if it's not a violent breakup, even if it's a friendly breakup, as a child you're so dependent on your parents. It's kind of like your life support is cut
yeah,
off. That's not the feeling that you're in a way supposed to have. I'm not to judge anyone who is having a
Right.
divorce. I know that sometimes divorce is a necessary evil, and staying with someone that you don't want to be with can result in more trauma than divorcing. But at the same time, I actually have quite a few friends whose parents were divorced from when they were very young, like around the age of 10.
Yeah, it's
And,
difficult.
and,
I think
and,
they
and I can
say,
say some of them. Oh, I shouldn't. I guess I shouldn't make any conjectures about their mental health or anything. And I'm not Dr. Phil, but I can notice that the ones who went through that shit tend to be dealing with things still in adulthood. Let me
yeah,
simply put it like
because
that.
it's like your foundation crumbles. And if you're going through life and you don't have that foundation and that support of both these people who brought you into this world, I mean, it's just really difficult to build further on who you are as a person.
Mhm. I
But
understand. Yeah.
yeah, but me and my significant other right now, um, we we went through so much. And I forgot to mention, during that time period, he also lost his mom, and he was
Oh.
only, I think he was 25 at the time. And so that really didn't help either. So this is a person whose parents are divorced. He already has that shaky foundation, and now he lost his mom, and she was only like 51. And I just didn't know how to help him cope with that in any other way but to
Hmm.
do drugs with him. And that's kind of what we did.
Hmm.
But all super not healthy things. I don't endorse any of the trajectory of my life to anybody. Except for the end. The end got better.
Let's hope it's a happy ending then.
Yeah.
I think so. You let me think. Trying to describe you kind of as a person. I don't know why, but I
I
hmm,
got the sun shining in my face too. That might not help.
my impression from you is I think I don't know. You seem curious just to explore things in a way. I guess. Um,
Yeah, and that could have been detrimental too, because I am very curious about. I mean, this is my hobby room that I'm in, and there's just
you
a
still seem to have
plethora.
like a very big openness to experience, right? Like, do you think that you're I don't know impulsive or something or to some
Oh,
extent?
absolutely. Yeah. I
Hmm.
am also very impulsive, which is why I chose to do all these things, even though I knew it was bad.
Hmm.
But I've kind of mitigated my impulsive side to hobbies and just as many as I can gather, like painting, cross stitch, you name it, I do it.
Multi-talented.
Well, I get so easily bored also. And I think that's why Xanax was so big for me at the time, because it kind of made me feel like I could just sit. I didn't have to do anything. I could just sit.
Because you're
But
no matter what you do, you already kind of feel some kind of happiness, I guess.
yeah, and that's what it did feel like at the time. But with discovering myself again and that I am curious to do all of these different things, um, it's just been fascinating how much happier those things have made me, and to look back and think, well, if I had money to be able to do what I do now back then, I probably wouldn't have, but I didn't have really anything during that time period.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Hmm. I'm thinking this is not an awkward silence. I'm just taking it in because I don't know. Mm, it's I think it's interesting because hmm, trying to come up with a good way to word things. I don't know. Sometimes I struggle, to formulate my thoughts in a good way. But hmm, I don't know. I when I know how to say it, I will be able to. But I think at least my gut feeling is that to some extent you will, you know, at the point that you're able to, you know, discover yourself a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Think you'll like. I don't want to say I think you're going to be fine for the rest of your life, but I want to say it, I guess, because you know, I'm getting that vibe, but at the same time, I shouldn't be sitting here like, oh, you're gonna have, because you never know what life throws your way, right?
Yeah. And it'll
But
be like I said earlier, it's going to be a life struggle. Like and it's so crazy because I said earlier about my dreams that I have where substances are around me. Well, my initial reaction to that in my dream is, okay, I got to take it.
mhm.
So I do. And then once I start feeling that again, I go
Don't
into
go to
complete
parties.
panic. Oh, well, I'm able to now, but I don't
No,
have.
but what kind of environment are you? I mean, I've never been at a party where people offer me that kind of stuff. You know, it's also just
It's the town I live in. I'm not going to say where I live, but
no, you
I
should.
mean, you can walk up to somebody and say, "Do you have this?" And they'll
Mhm.
say, "Yes, it costs this much."
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up too, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, how of course everyone's doing it because they're charging 17,000 to get anyone clean.
Mm,
So nobody goes and does that. I don't know how they're in business, honestly. There's no way.
man. If you had to give any advice, I guess, to another person who is in your situation, what would you tell them?
Um, Probably just don't be too hard on yourself. The steps will eventually come to get better. And if you trip and you fall back into it, that's not the end.
Mhm.
Like, just keep looking. How do I say? Just keep looking up. I mean, it will get better.
So this is going to sound kind of out of the blue, but that's what I was trying to think about before. But at some level, I kind of think that all you kind of needed was at some level was compassion, and
Yeah.
maybe you didn't get that. That's what I think. I mean, this is like a totally random observation, but
Yeah. Well,
you know, I just like to, I don't know, observe a little, but you know,
also,
just the anxiety and stuff. A lot of it kind of
yeah.
feels like self hate. You know.
Yeah, and I think also if I would have been more open to my social bubble, the people around me, that I was struggling, it would have been a
So someone should have told you that you're creative. You seem extroverted. You seem bubbly. You're good at talking. So don't hate
yeah.
yourself.
No.
that's,
I'm much better now.
that sounds so corny, but like, you
Yeah.
know, that's
No, I
just.
just wanted to I think also it helps cuz I mean, I go around town and I look at these murals, I look at these posters, these different designs, and I think to myself, I am worth something because this is what I can give to everybody else. And that makes me feel really good. So,
Yeah, but I mean, even before that point, even I mean, I don't know what you were like, but I don't know. I feel you don't need to be good at something or provide something, you know, just to be worth something, you know, some level. I don't know. It feels like there's some
yeah.
kind of there's meritocracy to it, you know, like, oh, if you're talented, you know, you deserve compassion, you know, if you can.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that probably still remains a struggle to this day because I just want to do stuff. I want to give,
Mhm.
and that's just the person I am. I've never been the person that sat there and was okay with myself for doing nothing. That makes me feel awful. I have to do something. I don't know how to explain that.
Go back to Twitch streaming again.
Yeah. It's so funny because I was gonna use my pseudonym for this, and I thought to myself, you know what? They already know this story. So I just went with my normal name. But yeah, I do want to pick that up again someday. I have
You
all of the
should. You
equipment.
should. You're being a good Twitch streamer right now, I think.
I have
Yeah, I
all of
mean,
my equipment.
oh, I have the same one. Using the same microphone.
Yeah. And then my omen and
Oh
stuff.
my god. Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
showing
a
him my
very gamer rig with the LED lights and stuff.
It's funny because it doesn't do anything right now though. But one day I'll get
Yeah.
back on there.
I
But it's
can I can
crazy.
see it. I'm getting the vibe from you. You will be successful at it. Like
Thank you. But I feel so bad because I kind of it was healthier for me at the time to just never log back in and never drink again. But I'm sure the community has no idea
man,
what
that
happened to me.
or maybe now in hindsight the clip is going to go viral or something. Someone has archived it.
Oh no, I wouldn't doubt it. They did so many things. There were
You would have been famous. Maybe.
maybe,
Hmm.
but we'll see. Maybe I'll go to YouTube or pick up some other.
Yeah, YouTube. Hmm.
Maybe that sounds like a lot of work.
I mean, I think you've done enough work, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's I don't know. It's I think it's interesting because to me, it's you. I like to use the word bubbly, I guess, or something. I think.
Yeah,
I-
yeah, I do get that a lot, and then it's funny because my high pitched voice and everything too just kind of makes
and
it
then
this little
and then you're telling
package.
me that you have had like a social anxiety. I know people are supposed to change, but
Yeah,
hmm,
yeah. Don't ever expect me to hold a presentation in front of an audience
hmm.
because that's not going to happen. But yeah, stuff like this is fine. But to some sense, in my head, I'm still thinking like you're not a real person. I know you are, but that's just how it helps me
I'm not a
with
real
my
person.
social and
I'm an internet personality. Yeah, it's okay to dehumanize me. That's my job.
that sounds so awful,
Yeah,
but
it's true.
that
I'm a
helps.
cartoon character to most people.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it is because even when I was streaming, that's really what it felt like.
Yeah,
You develop a persona and that's
we're
who
in the
you are
matrix.
there.
I mean, this whole thing is a substitute for human interaction. So it's doing what it's supposed to do, I guess, right? If hey,
Yeah.
people, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're probably listening to this in your basement, thinking, "Hey, it feels so social." People talking to each other.
It's
That,
healthy.
but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's healthy, but it's better than
it's
nothing.
it's healthy for people like me. You would never
Mhm.
ever see me being the person that's like, "Hey, let's gather all the friends or whatever people do and go shop." I don't know what people do.
Let's go
So
shopping!
this
Yay!
yeah, this kind of social interaction is
I would
it's
take you
good.
shopping.
Shopping
Yeah, sure. Why not?
or they go to Starbucks or
I don't
I
know
don't
what I
know.
don't know what
They do
people do.
people
I don't know what
things.
people do either. So I don't know. They go to clubs and stuff, right? That's what they do.
Oh, no, I wouldn't go there.
Mm,
Too many people.
yeah, it's better to get high on it's better to go to Starbucks. But
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, no, that's too expensive also. I wouldn't go there either.
mm,
No, but yeah, this was kind of really interesting because
mm,
I mean, I tell some people, I told my Twitch viewers some of the story,
yeah.
but to be able to actually like dissect the
Mhm.
things that happen, it's really eye-opening even to me.
I mean,
Because
I feel like at the same time you've summarized. I guess you managed to summarize your whole life story in a pretty fast time. At the same time, if there's, for example, something that you feel like you glossed over or want to discuss or want to bring up, feel free. Like, no rush.
Yeah.
Feel free to express yourself, right? So don't worry, but don't worry if you have to think for a moment. That's no problem. Silences are not awkward; they are normal. And if they're long,
Right.
I can cut them out. So that's not a problem.
Oh, are we live or not live?
Of course, it depends on what you mean with live, right? Most of what we're discussing now, I'm just going to upload it the way it
Got
is.
it. Okay.
But if you need time to think or anything, if you want to share anything, that's fine.
Trying to think if I left anything out. Um,
I mean, it was pretty wild, like in a short amount of time, how you went through so
yeah.
many developments, and suddenly you're like, yeah. Now I wake up in the hospital, and I'm like, damn, isn't there like what, 1,000 tiny little things that happened along the way? Because
Yeah, I guess leading up to that hospital portion, it was I went back to the doctor during that time period and I got on the Xanax again and I guess I took too many and ended up in the hospital,
and the
which
doctor
those things are just kind of crazy.
wasn't the doctor like, oh, let's prescribe you something else, or
No, actually they said,
no?
"Oh, no." They said,
They kept giving you that?
"Yeah."
Literally,
They said
how?
they said this amount isn't working. We're going to give you more. That will work this
No.
time.
Are you serious?
Really. Yeah. It's
Wow.
insane.
Man.
Absolutely insane. And
Man,
I'm really careful
this
these
should have just
days.
given you cocaine at that point, I swear.
No, no cocaine. That stuff is wild. And it's crazy because we had a house before this one. We ended up losing that house because of the drugs and stuff. But we used to just throw these wild parties in the garage with musicians, and I would be painting like a studio, and there would be like 25 people in the garage, 10 people outside.
You know?
Everybody was just doing drugs.
Is it fucked up if I say that almost sounds nice? I mean,
I mean, to say that the entire experience was bad would be a lie. There were some fun portions of it. I just wish I could have done that without the
yeah.
drugs.
You lived like a rock star.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
really did. It was really really wild. And then my daughter would go to my mom's house for like entire summers. So we had that time period to just go ham really. And that's what we did,
Hmm.
which was not beneficial, I might add.
I mean, the worst thing that I can say right now is, wow, that sounds fun. But in a way, no, don't do drugs, kids. Next time, just bring
No.
lemonade or something for all your friends. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess it wasn't really isolated to just those drugs. I mean, whatever I could get my hands on at the time.
Whatever.
Yeah, like MDMA, ecstasy, Molly, mushrooms.
Ooh. Let me, my experience with drugs is very, very, very limited. I'm a really vanilla boy. But only one. Mom, if you're listening to the podcast, don't listen to this. Only one I ever one.
Exit the building.
The only one I ever tried was MDMA. Only once. That's it. That being
Yeah.
said, weed is legal in the Netherlands. It has been for decades. We're probably
Oh, wow.
one of the first places to legalize. Yeah, right? Amsterdam. How many tourists go here just to get?
Oh, right.
Yeah, Amsterdam. That's the Netherlands.
Yeah, not too, Americans are generally not too knowledgeable about where other places are.
We're kind of we think just think of us as kind of like Germans. We're close to Germany. We're a very liberal country, to some extent, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is a bit off topic, by the way. I don't know how we got here, but
We're just taking the ride.
yeah. I mean, I don't have that much to share about drugs in return. You know, drugs are
Well,
bad, okay, but
yeah, no, they're super bad. Don't do drugs. Like,
no.
for real. Full disclosure, don't do drugs.
Mm.
But no, I hated MDMA. That was probably the one that I took on several occasions, and every time it was
You're
a
like
terrible time.
a connoisseur at this point, you know, like
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
mm.
But it's so funny because
This
like I
stuff,
said, it's
this stuff is not in season, you know. It's
yeah, yeah, like clothing. No, it's crazy because if you met me in person and talked to me or whatever, you would think that is an innocent person right there.
yeah,
She
I
would
think you
never.
are. I don't think that anything that you did doesn't make you innocent.
Eh,
Aren't
well,
you?
maybe naive. Maybe
Yeah, but
naive.
why aren't you innocent? You sound innocent to me. Like you mean sounds like you only hurt yourself, to be honest. It doesn't sound like you ever fucked up over someone else. Like
Oh God,
maybe you
no, no, I couldn't.
maybe you did, but like no. So you're innocent, right?
No. Well, yeah, in that respect. But as far as
Yeah,
like this,
we have to stop thinking about like if you do drugs, you're a bad person. I don't think so. You're a victim more than
I
anything.
felt like a bad person.
No,
I felt awful.
dude, yeah, I mean that's weird, right? You're taking
Yeah.
this substance that ruins your life and it's taking away your happiness, and your only way to be happy is to buy more of it. Like,
Yeah,
but then
that
you're the bad guy. Makes no sense to me.
yeah, and I never really understood that either because it's like just quit doing this and then you would have so much more money. But I guess at the time I was under my parents' health care, so I really never paid for like the Xanax or anything like that.
Mhm.
I just go to the doctor and say, I need more of this. And they said, okay.
Oh, and in a minute we have to make a new call. Do you mind?
No, I don't mind.
I still like to talk to you for a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, it's a very abrupt ending. Okay, we have to take a little break. So.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, there you are again.
We're back.
Long time no speak.
Yeah.
Okay, so where did we leave off? Oh yeah, we were talking about. Oh yeah, my mom was banned from listening because he was talking about the one time I did MDMA. It wasn't that memorable though, but it's like my only experience with it.
Yeah. I hated it. I hated everything about it. Well, okay, visuals were pretty fun.
I should try all these drugs so I can relate to your experience,
Oh
you know?
God, no. I wouldn't wish that on literally anybody
Mm.
because it was just, I mean, it was fun at the time, but like I'm still to this day dealing with some of the effects, like memory issues, all
Still,
the
you still have memory issues, or
a little bit, yeah.
oh, wait.
I mean, it was a lot of drugs. There's gonna be
Wait,
something.
didn't you mention memory issues before?
Maybe not.
Trick question. I'm just teasing you because it's about memory issues, you know.
Yeah, sorry.
I,
I'm a very literal person.
I think you forgot. I think you already forgot.
I think so.
Where am I? What's this place? Sorry.
No, it's more like little things that are kind of like I'll walk into a room on a full mission to go get a straw, and I'll get there and I'll look around and I'm like, what? What am I doing in here?
And
And I
then
have to like
and then you
three-step back.
end up drinking your cola with a spoon or something.
No, not that bad. But I do like once I get back to my drink, I'm like, oh, I needed a straw. And then so
I
it's not like
mean,
terrible, but
that's something that happens to me, and I haven't taken all the various things that you did. So maybe that's just a human error.
well,
Maybe you're
Yeah.
just a chaotic person.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. So self-destructive too, probably like starting the whole streaming thing and then thinking I'm damaging young minds and then just leaving. Done.
I mean,
That's still self-destructive.
I mean, how much was it at the forefront of your stream? Like maybe was it
Um,
like a cry for help? Like, look at me, world, or
oh no, absolutely. I think one of my first streaming videos was me playing a video game and then just like frantically sobbing in front of the camera. And this was prior to
I
having
would
like
watch that. Not gonna lie, I would watch it.
a lot of people did. I think it was more at that point like look at this poor sad girl. Let's make her happy. And so my followers like grew exponentially after that.
Wow, that's. I mean, that's not a recipe for success because when you start being happy, they stop supporting you. You know.
Yeah. No, they knew that I guess probably like one or two people were watching up until the crying incident, and then I guess it got shared around or
If
something.
if any of your subscribers are watching, guys, she's very sad. Okay, so give her money.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean, she's
no.
she's crying, but on the she's laughing, but on the webcam, she's wiping away her tears.
Right. Yeah, no, I might get back into it again
Mhm.
in the year
Yeah, I'm upset.
2024.
I'm really obsessed with the fact that you did Twitch for some reason. Like I can't get go of it for some reason. Yeah, I don't know
You
why.
could do it too. Anyone
It's
can do
like
it.
it's like you tell me all these stories about substance abuse, but the moment you said Twitch, that's like my main association with you now.
Yeah.
That's that like it outshines the rest. You know, the fact that you did
It
Twitch.
outshines all
Yeah,
the
it out.
drugs.
Yes, yeah, it does. It
Yeah.
maybe it's even worse. No, just kidding. Nothing wrong with Twitch. But,
No, it was that was super fun. I really did enjoy it. It was hard to keep up with all of the people and like their own stories too, because like I said, I just imagined everyone as like a chat bot. And I didn't have to like that's the only way I could get in front of like a group of 75 people and talk with the camera only on me is if everyone was a chatbot.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I
they know
can kind
that
of
too.
relate. Yeah,
They're aware.
I mean the audience is always invisible. That helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time I did, and by the way, the time that I did MDMA. Okay, so this is going to be literally the only drug story that I have. I know alcohol is a drug some way, but
Yeah.
if we count drugs, okay, and not the not drugs, which are also drugs, but
Like
they're the
medical drugs.
no, they're the socially acceptable drugs like alcohol, and then not
Oh,
socially acceptable drugs. But one
yeah.
time, oh my god, I'm really messing this up. By the way,
Oh no, you're fine.
something is weird is happening. God, I remember I was with a friend in a club. I don't know. We just somehow ended up at a random girl's house with a bunch of friends. We're trying to keep it a bit vague, but at some point, I know we were watching like Magic Eye. Do you know what it is? Magic Eyes was like this weird optical illusion. And
No, but I
I
know
mean,
about
this
optical illusions.
okay. This isn't a super exciting story. We didn't break into a zoo and cuddle with a polar bear or something. Okay, but it was awkward enough. I was staring at this optical illusion like for like 2 or 3 hours, feeling really happy. By the way, so there's that.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
That's
it.
no. There's I know that you're expecting some kind of great climax, but
Oh man, the intense stories I have in a drug induced craze. There's a lot of them. Just so many.
want to share them? Yeah.
Okay, I can, well, one of my more favorite ones.
Your favorite
um,
ones? Okay.
yeah, so we had these like 1980s mushroom jars from like JC Penney's, and we put all of the mushrooms in there. And my significant other went to work, and I decided, you know what? It's not going to hurt if I take like one or two. I'll be fine. I can sit here by myself. So I ate them, and I was doing the dishes. And then I thought, I'm going to have to call him. So he was at work, and I called him home. And it was just the whole night. We were watching like Modest Mouse videos, all these YouTube videos, and staring at the carpet because they were forming little cities. And I kept saying, can you see the people walking? Just all these different things. And then towards the end of the night, we had to eat pizza because we had to work in the morning. But like it just looked like zombie flesh. And we microwaved it, which made it look worse. And so we're both sitting there just like bawling and trying
Ah.
to eat this fleshy pizza.
Are you sure it wasn't just Domino's? That would explain it.
Oh, it was way worse. It was Little Caesars.
No. I've never had that, so I can't judge, you know? I'm in Europe. I am missing out on crucial life experiences. Sadly.
Oh, it's super bad for you. You don't
I know.
you
I
don't
know.
need that.
People talk about like Arby's and Applebee's and Wendy's. I'm like, damn, I live in poverty. No, just kidding, I don't. But I have not eaten those things, okay?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And then another time, well, this is more an alcohol related one. When I was 18, my friend won tickets to see Little People Wrestling.
What? Is that the name of a movie, or is it literally Little People Wrestling?
They were little people.
What?
And so he got these free tickets, and this is the person that
is this like the illegal chicken fights they have in the Dominican Republic or something? Yeah.
Well, no, it was at a club, but I thought it was just like a normal club, like just a regular club.
But they weren't normal, they were little.
No, they were fine. That wasn't, although one of them did staple another little person's head with like a piece of paper. And at that point, I was like, you know what? This isn't really for me. I gotta go. But I got super drunk when I was watching this because some guy, he was like 50 years old. I'm only 18 at the time, ordered like a 3-gallon pourable pitcher thing of beer. And I just kept going up there like all night long. And by the time they were done wrestling, so we were in like a curtain area. We were like VIP'd through the back or something. And then by the time we left, oh, I'm so sorry, my phone. Hold on, let me turn it off because it's probably
Okay.
still.
I'll stop recording this moment. There you go. We can go back into it in a few seconds.
Okay. All right. So towards the end, the curtain unveiled, and then I walk out through this like neon club, and I'm like, wow, this is really pretty. Fireman poles, that's a weird choice of decoration. And so I'm walking, and then I notice there's a lot of like topless women, and
What?
I realized I was at a strip club. And I might have been 18. I might have only been 17 at the time, but that was like not the place I want to be. And there was just a lot of people.
I mean,
so it was
I find the little people thing more disturbing than the strip club.
yeah. And then after that we decided to go ghost hunting in the cemetery, super drunk. And so we broke in and we were like wandering around. We didn't see any ghosts, but it was just kind of a, I don't know, we just we did things. And a lot of weed.
That's grave. That's grave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any other crazier stories.
So why did Annie break into the graveyard? It remains to be seen.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's perfect, huh?
Again, I'm a very literal person. So I was like, why did I? I was being really critical.
Remains to be seen. I know, I saw it.
Yeah. I got it now. Uh, what else happened? Oh, there's probably still clips of me on the internet being super drunk on stream. There's one specific time, I remember I was drinking a bunch of margaritas and I like poured all of
Ew,
my
margaritas.
margarita. Yeah, they're nasty.
Yeah, it's the worst choice to ruin your life with,
And they give you such a headache too.
Mm.
But I poured it all into my Xbox and like ruined all of my computer equipment on live stream. And it just like bleeped out and was black.
One question though. Why?
Um,
Why?
why did I ruin it?
Yeah, why did you pour it into your Xbox?
Oh no, that was an accident. I thought I was
Ah,
putting it like I thought I was setting it down and it just like
the way you were telling it sounded very deliberate. Like, oh yeah, and I had margaritas.
no.
My Xbox was so thirsty or something. I was like, huh.
No.
Hmm.
I
Strange.
don't know how to turn my phone off. I just realized.
You don't know how to turn your phone off.
Mm-mm.
No, take your time. Take your time. No rush.
Got it. Okay,
Maybe it's
it's
a.
it's off for real this time.
I feel like I have to. Oh, let me think. I don't really have that much wild stories. But since you are sharing so much, maybe I should share some in return. Well, I mean, several times when I was a teenager, but I wasn't an alcoholic. I got so drunk that my parents had to pick me up at concerts. The usual stuff like, oh, it's Bart again. He's calling mommy. I don't know where I am. And I was in a ditch, somewhere, and I lost my identity card, and I lost my
Oh
bicycle for
no.
some reason. And so many times that my mom had to clean up vomit and stuff like that. Yep, but that's normal stuff, right? Normal teenage things.
Well, I don't know. As deep as I was into drugs and alcohol, I never had a situation where like I wasn't able to take care of myself. Like I'm a strong, independent woman, even if I'm on drugs. And I never had like that. Like I'm in a ditch, where am I?
Hmm. That's kind of strange if you think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
doing all that stuff, and I mean, it's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess also I never like left the house when I did all of this stuff. Like I was always,
Mhm.
you know, like that's my number one rule. If I was going to drink or do anything, like I'm staying home.
Man.
I'm not going to get in trouble.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You're the most classy addicted person ever, if you think about it.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like very sophisticated usage of hard drugs. I don't know.
Well, another one of the craziest things was a neighbor that we had. His son came over, fell asleep on our couch. His mom was looking for him.
What?
And so
This part is already bizarre, by the way.
it gets even worse. So mom's looking for him, wants to give him soup. I tell him, hey, you got to get out of my house. Your mom's trying to give you soup so you feel better. And then
Someone came into
he,
your house randomly and fell asleep on the couch. Like,
well, we were partying with them,
oh,
like outside. We were drinking and stuff. I think it was
oh,
like another New Year's situation.
okay.
Yeah. And then I just remember like the uncle came over or something and just had a bunch of cocaine, like so much. Like I was like, this is a dangerous situation. And we told him, you got to get out of the house. And that's probably like the most I've ever seen in my life. It was like a briefcase. It was really crazy, really scary situation.
Damn,
I mean, they were so nice, but I was like, you got to get out of my house.
man.
Yeah, and it's just wild, like the different, I don't know, like the people I spoke to that I would never, probably in a million years, actually talk to.
Mhm.
But it was interesting to hear their own stories too of depravity.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel a little bit vanilla compared to you. A little bit sheltered, I guess. But
That's good though. That means your parents raised you correctly.
I'm not sure about that. That's a story for another podcast, I think. But
Ah.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
So I guess the way if I'm just thinking about everything and reading the room a little bit, seems like you covered most of it, right? Is there anything
Yeah.
you would want to add to this? I think because or
Um,
something that you would like to ask me if you want, only if you want to, or
oh, what's the thing with the moths?
the thing with the moths. What I mean, that's a broad question. What's the thing with the moths?
Yeah, you like moths.
Oh,
Why?
that's a long story though. That's
Oh,
doom. I mean, well, the thing is, one thing I should point out is that from when I was very young, I was very obsessed with insects. Like, I mean, really obsessed with them. So one thing you should know is like at some level it wasn't really a conscious choice, I think. Um, why insects in particular? That's a good question. Uh, okay, so this is a bit of a multifaceted answer, right? And I don't like to throw around um, labels, but one thing I think that does tie into it is the fact that I have autism. I'm a huge autist, right? And people who have autism, they tend to have what is called preoccupations, right?
like fixations.
Yes, like hyperfixations on
Yeah,
certain subjects that are like on obsessive level.
right.
Another thing about moths is they seem relatively simple, but I don't think that they are simple. If you look deeper into them, insects in general are actually very complex.
Well,
Very,
yeah, they're like little mechanical machines.
yeah, in some way, just the way that like insects are like butterflies and moths, how they produce their colors alone, it's extremely complex. Some
Hmm.
species they have these scales on their wings, and these scales have ridges. They're called lamella, and the lamella there's certain distance between the gaps, and this distance corresponds to a certain wavelength of color that gets captured and reflected back to the observer while it filters out all the other wavelengths. So if you're looking like
Oh,
if you're looking at like a blue morpho butterfly, if you're thinking about it, like it's structural coloration. It's nanotechnology if you think about it. And it goes way deeper than that because they use these colors to communicate with each other in really unknown and sophisticated ways.
yeah, like the
Well,
infrared things.
let me go a little bit deeper even because so light is a particle and a wave, right? You have photons, and so these waves, right? Not every wave is the same. They have something called it's called a polarization. So light, the way I guess the particle moves, it can have different orientations.
Yeah,
So, for example, if you put on Polaroid glasses, it filters the polarization so I don't know how exactly it works if you wear Polaroid sunglasses, but it
like
filters.
colorblind people.
Mm, no, but let's just say there's different kinds of light. There's polarized light and quote unquote unpolarized light. Although, so
I'm gonna
I
like
don't,
frantically Google this.
I don't want to make it too complex, right? But it turns out that the light that they reflect back from their wings is also polarized by the butterflies, and their eyes are sensitive to polarized light. So the reflection on the wings is almost this unique kind of light, I guess, that they reflect and can use to
Oh,
recognize
wow.
each other. And the reason I'm telling this is just one example, right? This is just one example of the many things about insects that at the surface level, it looks so simple. Like, oh, blue butterfly, shiny, cool.
Yeah.
If you look deeper into it in the how and the why, it is so complex. You know, it fascinates me. It's the beauty.
Yeah.
To me, they're very beautiful. You know, the colors, the sizes, the shapes that they can have are beautiful. But also, you know, the fact that you can look at them and you can just extrapolate things from them by just their appearance alone. So
Yeah.
they're kind of like they're kind of like a book that you can read, that you can use to make extrapolations about their environment, why they look certain ways, why they have certain colors, why they
Yeah.
produce certain chemicals. So I guess it's the fact that I'm just a massive artist, plus the fact it's a very fun subject that you can delve into with a massive amount of complexity. It never ends. There's a lot to
Yeah.
this. There's so much to discover about it. Last but not least, there's a way that you can use your interests to what I think is something good. Because environmentalism nowadays is a huge topic, right? It's very relevant to our society. You know, we have to save the climate, but how many people really care and look deeper? Insects are super important for any terrestrial ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like 85% of all species of plants are flowering plants, angiosperms, and most of them rely on insect pollinators. So they're important, they're being neglected, they're complex, there's a lot you can discover about them, even as an amateur. What's not to like, right? Plus, I'm just a really obsessive person. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the thing with moths.
The thing with moths.
That's
Yeah,
the thing with moths.
I just know like I don't kill insects because then I'm like, if I kill it, there's probably an insect mom or dad somewhere that's like waiting for them to come home.
Actually, I don't really care if people kill insects, to be
Oh, I
honest.
do. I'm huge on it. Like even I caught a spider today
This
in my house.
Are we gonna talk about insects? I can. Get ready, yeah, because it really activates my brain. It really rustles my jimmies. But
Yeah, no, because I've found you on entomology,
oh
and I've
yeah,
always
shout out
seen
to
like,
entomology.
yeah, they're awesome. Tardigang, by the
Yeah.
way. Yeah, but I saw all of your stuff on there, and I was like, and then I saw this post. I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? That's an interesting person to talk to, and I really don't mind sharing my whole story because I think it could be really helpful
Mhm.
for people who are kind of like looking to do self discovery themselves who
Mhm.
need to.
I think so. I think you were pretty good at sharing everything. You know, it's maybe a little bit awkward to share such personal stuff, but I think you did very well, excellently. Twitch
Yeah.
streamer level.
Woo woo. Oh, I don't know. Well, I kind of want to drop my name, but I kind of don't because it's like,
You don't have to, no pressure. You have the choice to do it now, only if you wanna. I don't think
it's,
I don't think you said anything incriminating or that people would judge you for. Like,
yeah, no, plus it's already, everything's all handled
hey,
now
you,
anyway.
you you're here smiling and laughing, right? Not being asleep on the stairs on the
Not being
podcast.
a degenerate.
Hmm.
Yeah, if y'all are interested, it's Annie Ominous,
Annie,
ANI.
Annie
No,
ominous,
Annie. Annie with an N.
Annie ominous.
Yeah. And that was because I wanted to get on the internet, but I wanted to retain my I wanted to be anonymous, but that name was already taken, so I just made like a female version of it.
Annie anonymous, Annie anonymous. Yeah, it makes sense. It kind of makes sense. I get it. I
It
get
kind of, yeah, I was trying really hard, but
it.
that's all
Mhm.
I could come up with. Yeah, but maybe in the year 2023 or 4 or 5 or 6, I'll come back. You never know.
Yeah, man, maybe a bit sooner than that. Who knows? Huh?
Eh, eh.
With a nice gaming PC. I mean, you have a good job. You don't need it for income, I guess. So there's that.
No, it was just so fun. I liked meeting all the different people.
Same for me. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I just didn't want to like look at their faces.
yeah.
scary. So
Trust,
Twitch worked.
trust me, you wouldn't want them watching your live stream if you know what their faces look like. So
Well, yeah, because there were a lot of creeps. There were a lot of
oh yeah.
blocks I had to do. Oh yeah.
Oh, Annie, your smile is so nice.
Yeah, it was bad. No, it was more like people wanted me to sell feet pics because that's apparently a thing.
Wait. Say it again. People wanted to you too?
No, they wanted me to sell pictures of my feet. So I just told everyone on there I have nubs and I never let them see my feet. And I'd be like, "What? What?
They wanted to
What?"
see your feet.
Yeah, people are weird, man. It's the internet.
Actually, this is very off topic, but I got an email once from a foot fetishist, like very randomly. And
People are into it. It's real.
and then I was really self-conscious because like damn, so my videos I'm walking around on my socks. And and their email was like it wasn't a bad email. It wasn't very invasive. It was just
Yeah.
like it was just something like, oh, you're very handsome and I like your videos. But then I looked at the email address and it was called like something like sweaty socks and feet 6'5"
Oh,
at,
they assumed you
at,
had
at,
sweaty feet.
at gmail.com. And I don't know, maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe it was a very nice foot fetishist who just wanted to say that I'm handsome, but I kind of make the connection between that email address, and I don't know.
And any of that
Here,
like hole.
my audience can't see it, but I have holes in my socks here. I'm showing them on the webcam. See?
Yeah, he would have been way into that.
Yeah.
No, the
No one on the
people that were
podcast can
asking.
see this, by the way. So it's exclusively for you. You can
Woo
see
woo.
my foot reveal.
No, they were like, we'll pay you anywhere between $100 and $1,000
What?
for
And you
like
didn't
20.
do it?
No, because they're my feet. They're
Dude,
fine.
you have no idea what I would do for $1,000. I would show way more than my feet to be. Oh, by the way, maybe I shouldn't say that, but like, damn, I would have done it
You're
in a
gonna be
heartbeat.
getting all the DMs now.
Yeah, it kind of depends, but like if it was $1,000 or even $100, like it's just feet.
Maybe if I didn't have my daughter, but everything I do, like on social media, like eventually she's gonna be able to go back, or if she has kids, they're gonna be like, these are grandma's feet pic from the year,
Oh my God, family history, 300 years later,
Yeah, like somebody will do that swab from ancestry.com and
your
find the
feet,
feet
your
pics.
feet are nothing to be ashamed of, let them free.
No, they're just feet. I don't know. I'm not into it.
Neither am I. Disclaimer, I'm not into feet. By the way, here's a very random fun fact. We're going off topic as hell, but I don't care. Do you know why feet fetishes are so common?
No, why?
So every part of your body, right? It has I guess there's a sensory part to it. If you touch your legs, if you touch your hands, your
Oh,
thighs.
is that why?
Yes, but so the part of your brain that is responsible for I guess the sensory part of your genitals. Yeah, I know I'm dropping a bombshell here.
Genital bombshell dropped.
And the sensory part of your brain that is responsible for feeling your feet.
Yeah.
They are very close together. So there's one area in your brain. So basically, okay, so this is, okay. When somebody touches your genitals and when somebody touches your feet, the part of your brain that is processing those things, those sensations, they're very close together. And that makes it easy for there to be a connection between these regions.
Oh.
So yeah, so I basically so there's some parts of your body that are like erogenous to most people, right? Like necks and thighs and whatever. Like I don't want to turn it into a sex podcast, but those are tend to be the parts that are in your brain region, like neurologically.
Yeah.
closer to the part of your brain that is responsible for the touch and feeling in your genital regions. And
Huh.
your feet are very close to that in your brain. So that's why so many people, almost everyone except me, of course, has a foot
And
fetish that way.
me, I am not.
I mean,
Full disclaimer, I'm
hey,
not into it.
you know what? I'm actually jealous of these people, like, you could go to the beach and have the best day of your life, It's kind of easy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. I don't know, man. Feet are just I just think they look weird.
and I would just spend all day like in some kind of shoe store or something, Best day of your life.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like
Bring
you have
some
to
bring some hand lotion, I'm just
a
kidding.
couple of socks.
Yeah. Mm.
God, it did turn into a sex podcast. What happened?
Nah, not yet, not yet. But yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel like I can make money other ways.
I
Is
think
the
so.
conclusion of that.
Mm. I think so. Well, we have 6 minutes left, but I feel like we got most of it out of our system, didn't
Yeah.
we? Okay. Wanna fill the remaining 6 minutes with something? If feel free to throw any questions at me, or
Um,
now is your chance. Shoot your
are you
shot.
an admin in entomology?
No, 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 not at all. In fact,
Oh, you're just a
I was in fact I was almost banned a few times because my posts were becoming too risky. Actually, I haven't really been active there lately. Maybe I should be. At least a few years ago, when I started posting there, I posted some really over the top things, that shocked people.
Yeah,
And
I saw. I was there.
oh my god, yeah. So and for a short time, the page went kind of crazy with it. But the thing that I do is sometimes I have like these weird manic phases where I just want to shit post all day.
Oh God, me too.
And
It's so
when
much fun.
but when I get it out of my system, I have a habit of kind of disappearing, once in a while. But no, I'm not an admin. I don't own the page. Some of the admins like me, some of them hate me. I think they're divided on this, but yeah. So yeah, I don't own it. I just do my own thing. I have my own YouTube channel and stuff.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple of the videos. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool though.
yeah. Tend to make very obscure stuff, like a 3-hour video about one moth species. Is not for everyone, I think. It's
Yeah.
most of it is not as quirky as what you see on Facebook. Maybe I should be. Maybe I should make some weird quirky stuff because this is what people like. For me, it's just a way to release my infinite amount of energy. You've seen what happens if you
Yeah.
ask me a question about moths, right? And I just go into overdrive.
Yeah,
I'm
but that's cool though, because like your thing,
that's the
right?
energy. That's the energy I need to release. It's like a volcano. It has like outbursts. All right, I see we have 4 minutes left. Maybe I should thank you for being on my podcast first of all.
Of course.
I hope you. I want to end it on a note. I don't know. What's the takeaway from your story?
Don't do
Takeaway.
drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My takeaway is that at least you are a talented person. I think right. You have many talents. You have many interests, and I think I don't know. It just feels like at some point in your life, to me, it feels like you were just denied compassion at some point when you needed it. That's what it feels like to me. Because
Yeah.
and that's a shame. That's a shame because you're a nice person, right? I think
Oh, thank you.
we can both agree on that, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Embrace it. I think you are. So it's a shame, if someone like you was, I guess, I don't know, some way felt to made to feel better about themselves in some way.
Yeah.
And
But it gets better.
it's not the things that you have in life, your material possessions. that make you you. You know, it's nice to say I recovered from all of this. Now I have a job. Now I have a good house. Now I'm a better person. I don't think you were ever a worse person. I think you were always a good person. And maybe you just need someone to recognize that. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I could agree with that.
You don't strike me as someone who has, the way you tell your stories, it's almost as if you feel like at some point of your life you were worthy of judgment. I really don't think so. I think you really just, you just need to be seen a little bit for what you really are. That's what I think. And maybe
Yeah.
that's what you did today.
Yeah. And I will probably always be partially critical of that time, but just because it helps me not go back to it,
No, it's fine to be critical of it. I think there's plenty to be critical of, but not like you on an existential level,
right? Yeah.
like there's a lot of it was out of your control, and I don't think to a large extent you can take accountability for it. But even if you take accountability for it, it seems like in every situation you never hurt anyone else, really. Yeah, maybe you made
Yeah.
at some point what you can call poor decisions, but I don't think most people in your situation would have made better decisions. So you just tried what you had to survive, and none of the
Yeah.
things that you did made you at any point a bad person. So
Well, thank
I
you.
hope you can hope you can keep that thought in mind. And on that note, we should end it because we have 50 seconds left.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for yours.
Goodbye.
Perhaps until next time. Ciao, ciao.
Oh, yeah. Bye.
Whew, that was a long but interesting conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Annie, can I call you Annie? This is my nickname for you. I guess it's a reference to your Twitch username. Annie, you left the podcast today, but you left me thinking about our conversation while I'm ending the episode. And what I would like to tell you is that I hope that people ultimately will see you for the person that you are. And I mean that in a positive way. This may be a total conjecture. I am not Dr. Phil. I'm not a psychologist. I may be entirely wrong here. But in a way, you gave me the impression of a person that at some level just wanted at some point in her life to be seen and not judged. You want to be seen, but you don't want to be judged. And I think that's possible because despite the fact that the things that you shared today were highly personal, and I guess many of them can be spun in a negative way, it doesn't feel like you are worthy of any judgment. By the way, not that I am the one here that should be dishing out judgment or telling who should deserve judgment and who shouldn't. But at the same time, I think it's hard to be seen in a world where people are judgmental. And that's a shame. I don't think I am able to fully know a person from podcasting with them for a few hours. It's just a quick impression, a fleeting moment, but I do have the feeling that Annie she is a person that deserves to be seen for who she is. And to me, she seemed kind and open and funny. And those are qualities that we should use to judge people. Not their socioeconomic circumstances, not substance abuse, not any mental disorders. Those are the things that we use to judge people, and that's what sucks, in my opinion. So yeah, I hope that isn't too much of a conjecture that I'm making here, but that's what I'm feeling after talking to you. That's interesting, isn't it? That's what I feel. So, and I hope other people can recognize the things that I recognize in you, which are positive, because I think that at least the positive things about you, they seem very obvious. And They're worth showing off to the world. Don't hide them because you're afraid that people may see the wrong things in you. Thank you for being here on the podcast. This was Bart Coppens with his brand new podcast. It is called the Rhodopneuma podcast. Let me ask you some questions that people have asked me about the podcast itself. So most people know me as a person who is a YouTuber who makes content about insects. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And people ask me, is this a side project? Is this a side gig? For how long will the podcast continue? Well, my answer to that is, that depends on how much interest there is. That depends on how much views I get. The most difficult thing about starting a new social media project is trying to get your first viewers, your first followers, your first subscribers. And that's true in life, isn't it? It doesn't matter if you're an artist. It doesn't matter if you're a painter. Getting the first people to listen to your music, getting the first person to buy one of your paintings or sculptures, that's the hardest part. If you already have an audience, from that point it becomes easier because everything you publish, people are going to look at it because you established an audience for it. And from there it will grow from a tiny seed into a big flower. So my idea is I am going to try and make, let's say, 10 to 15 episodes of this podcast. And while I'm making the first episodes, the first season, I'm not going to worry about performance. But once I have uploaded everything, and I mean everything, then I'm going to crunch the numbers. I'm going to take a closer look. Is there interest in this podcast? Do people like it? Do people want me to continue? Is there a fan base for this? And then I will make the decision to stop or to continue. Now, so far, there has been a very healthy amount of interest. I had many people reach out to me with stories. So my first goal is to try and make 10 to 15 episodes and call it the first season of the podcast. And when I finish doing that, then I will take a break and evaluate how the project is doing. But you can help. You can ensure the survival of this podcast. How? It's very simple. Share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your coworkers. Share it with the Discord group that you are in. Post it on Reddit. Post it on Facebook groups. Post it on any social media group or community that you are active in. Because the future of this podcast will be determined by how much interest there is, how much listeners I have. I like podcasting. It's very fun. It's amazing to listen to people's experiences. But we need to have an audience. Now, some people have also asked me, what does the name mean? Well, the name of the podcast is the Rhodopneuma podcast. And this is the name of not only one of my favorite insects, which is called the pink spirit moth, a species from Asia. It's beautiful. It's a very, very pink, yellowish insect with, the pink is very bright. And its scientific name, Actias rhodopneuma. The rhodopneuma part comes from rhodon, which means rose or rose-colored, and pneumos, which in Greek means breath, spirit, or wind. So literally translated, it means a rose-colored spirit. Now, I think that's one of the most poetic things I've ever heard in my life, a rose-colored spirit, a pink spirit. And the way I see it is humans have a pink spirit. Humans have a rose-colored spirit. It kind of reminds me of like rose-tinted glasses, right? When you put on pink glasses, that means that you see positive things in the world. You're looking through a lens of optimism. And I think that's what people have. People have a rose-colored spirit. Most of us do. I certainly have. Looking at the positive things despite adversity. Third of all, everyone and their mother and their dog and their baby has a podcast nowadays. Podcasting is amazingly popular, and any name I tried to come up with was taken. But I did some research, and the Rhodopneuma podcast was a unique name. So it's a combination of three things. Thing number one, it's a personal reference to one of my favorite animals, Thing number two, it kind of has a poetic and at some level maybe even spiritual meaning that you can relate back to people's life experiences on this podcast. And number three, it's unique. It will cause people to find me because there's a million people who have already have things like the life experience podcast or the true stories podcast. If you choose a name like that, you're going to compete with a million other podcasts. Last but not least, people ask me, will the podcast at some point be monetized? Will I think about monetization? The answer is, to me right now, is not a priority. Let me give you some advice to any wannabe influencers out there who are trying to find their way on social media. My advice is, don't try to monetize something before you have an audience. Don't start a YouTube channel and immediately think about monetizing it. Don't start a website and immediately think about monetizing it. Focus on finding an audience first and only monetize it after you have an audience. So we're currently in the stage where we're still building an audience. Down the line, I will think about crowdfunding and maybe ways to support the show, because let's be honest, it does cost resources, time, and money to do podcasting. It costs money to host the podcast on some platforms, and maybe down the line, I want to buy a subscription to services like Zoom or get a better microphone and making an income from it. That would definitely help. But that's not the point that we're at. So if you want to help the podcast and support the show right now, don't think about money. Think about sharing. Download it, play it in your car, play it in the train, show it to other people. If you know anyone with similar experiences, please share. Share it with the world. That's what we really need right now. We need to be shared. Spread it on the internet. And based on that, the podcast can become successful. But it depends, I guess, on my first few viewers, because those are the most important. They will make it or break it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening today. If you have any feedback, suggestions, please send me a message. If you have an interesting or unusual life story yourself that you would like to share in your podcast and you are comfortable with doing that, please reach out to me. And there's a chance that I will cover your story. Then you can get your story out to the world and maybe positively influence people who are going through the same thing. Not everything has to be dark. I know I interview a lot of people who talk about abuse, mental health issues, substance abuse. It doesn't have to be dark. It can be light-hearted, as long as it's unusual and interesting. It can be something like, oh, I won the lottery, or I grew up in a boat, or anything weird. Maybe you're an astronaut. Maybe you have something really weird that you experienced or have seen. And then we could cover it too in the podcast. But I'm also very willing to shed light on darker stories, which are important and deserve to be seen and deserve to be talked about. Because if we hide these issues away, if we swipe them under the carpet, I don't think society is ever going to improve, because we also need to be open about the day-to-day experiences that many people have. Thank you, guys. Mwah. Thanks for listening.